To remind the media, if you could please silence your cell phones. Coach will begin with a short opening statement, and then we'll go to questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Coach, whenever you're ready.
Going down to play NC State this week, and obviously Thursday night game. It's always fun when we play in front of the entire country. Football team that's kind of a little bit in the state of ours. I think this is a good football team that's going through some changes. They needed the bye week as much as we did for injuries. No change in our injuries at all. We're still waiting to see if we're going to get some guys back. Hopefully we can get some of those guys back because they're good players. But that happens in football, and we need to play with the guys that are capable, and the next man up attitude is the attitude we're going to have. Any questions?
When you say no change, does that mean, I guess, heckle doubtful? Do you expect to have the DBs back?
I'm not going to talk about any of those guys. I think it's going to probably stay the way everything's been.
So you think they're going to be out of it?
Right now, I wouldn't bet on those guys playing. I would think it's going to stay the same.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know if you meant status-wise as opposed to what you had said. I got you. Heckle specifically has been out for a while. What's the long-term concern like with him?
You have to talk to the medical people. I'm not going to talk about his business.
Okay.
Matt?
You know, this team obviously still has a lot of its goals ahead of it. And coming off this bye week, do you feel like it's almost kind of a new season, with this team, and knowing that, there's a whole lot more to gain here?
I think the bye comes at a very interesting time, obviously, with the, we've got 5 games in the books. We're going to get another bye here, I think, after 3 or 4. I can't remember the breakup, how it comes. But they're coming at good times. And they're coming at a good time for the physical part of it, too. It's a long season. And last year, the beauty of it was we got hurt at the right positions where we had a lot of depth. We're getting hit in some areas that are really affecting our football team. But I think a lot of football teams across the country are going through the same thing. And this is where coaches need to adapt and players need to step up and continue to try to do the things that you need to do to achieve the goals that you set out when the season started.
Mark, in the back.
Hey, Coach. So Tom is listed on the depth chart at the start. We can presume Tommy DeVito is going to play then Thursday night?
Yeah.
We don't know the extent of whatever his injury was in that game a couple Saturdays ago, but I just wanted to talk to you about, it was 41-3 at that point, and just what was the reasoning to have him back in there for that season?
He's our starting quarterback. Next question.
Taking into the bye week with the offensive line, what did you try and work on for those guys, and how important is their growth for your team's success down the stretch?
We really worked on, you guys, anytime you get in a bye week, there's 2 things you have to do. You have to get healthy and you have to try to get better. And we're working on all the positions to get better. We're trying to see if there's somebody locked into the 2 deep that should have an opportunity to be in the 1, or the 1.5 is how we talk about it. Somebody needs to have more repetitions in the game to see if they can help us this year instead of maybe trying to help us next year. So we're working on all those guys, and they did a good job. But you can only do so much when you have guys that are out and guys trying to get healthy at the exact same time.
You expecting any personnel changes up there? So Patrick Davis played the 4th quarter against Holy Cross.
Some guys did some nice jobs when they came in. We're going to have to see how it goes. Absolutely, that could happen.
In the middle.
Speaking of the O-line, big guy on defense for NC State, Ron Richardson. How are you guys looking to continue?
Well, I don't know. That young man can play. He can flat play football, and I think the biggest thing is that we have to try to do things. I don't know if you can really stop really, really good players, but we got to try to find a way to slow them down. And there's some things that we will try to do that we're not going to publicly state, but he is one of the better football players on his team, and we think he's a good player.
Andrew?
I might be misremembering this, but I think against Holy Cross, Western, we saw more of the.
Okay, start again. You kind of
I might
mumbled.
be misremembering this a little bit, but I think against Holy Cross and Western, we saw more of the 2-back sets we saw against Liberty that sort of didn't see much of between Maryland and Clemson. Was that sort of a look you saw you could exploit on film, or something specific, matchup specific, or did you want to, try and get him on the field more, or I guess sort of what sort of dictated going back to that a bit more and using that more?
I think it was just a matter of trying to get both of those young men on the field. That's something that we can come back to at any time. It doesn't disappear, it stays with us.
No.
Your team obviously played with a lot more pace on offense in the past 2 games. How much emphasis was placed during the bye week to continue that speed going into ACC play?
We worked really hard on it. Hopefully we're going to play even faster. I think that's really the key, is that getting these, we're only as fast as the slowest guy that we have on offense, and getting them up to speed is something that we've been really working hard on, and hopefully it's something that we can put behind us in the rearview mirror, that we can continually accelerate that pace, so to speak.
Got
Anything different during the bye week you guys get to do just more time as far as like team building or anything? I just don't know if there's anything with extra time you guys get to do.
I think the biggest thing you do during the bye week is you get an opportunity to look at yourself. You get to self-scout yourself. It gives you time to catch your breath and see what your opponents are looking, and you get to really, Michael Jackson, man in the mirror, look at yourself and say, okay, you think you're really good at something, but then you start looking at it and you go like, we're really not that good at it. Or you think that we're not very good at this, and we really are very efficient at something. So I think the self-check is the biggest thing that happens during a bye week. And once again, based off of where our byes are, I think they come at good times for us.
Dino and Tommy yesterday mentioned, going up against NC State's defensive coordinator, Tony Gibson, who was West Virginia's D coordinator last year. That's obviously a correlation there. Have you, looked back at that Camping World Bowl tape and just how that defense operates?
I think anytime that we play someone that's familiar with us, we've gone back and we've looked at it, and I'm sure that they've looked at it as well. The guy is a good coach. I'm not quite sure he's the defensive coordinator. Is he named? He's co-defensive coordinator, and I think their defensive coordinator from last year is still there. So they may be working together. I'm not sure the ins and outs of what's going on at NC State. I'm worrying about Syracuse, but the defense is very good. It has some Western Virginia type qualities to it, and deciding whatever defense they decide to play, we're going to have to be ready for it.
Coach, looking at the stats, team stats recently, I was surprised to see Eric Coley's 14 team tackles. I'm just curious as to what you see from him in terms of his development the past few years, as well as what is about him that makes him so productive.
He's really grown as a player. When you look at his development, that's one of the things that you get a lot of pleasure as a coach. Not only his on-field development, but his physical development. He's changed his body physically, and if you've been around the program like a lot of you guys have out here for a long period of time, to see them walk in as recruits. Some of you guys get the opportunity to know them as high school recruits, and then to see them 2 or 3 years down the road with the strength, nutrition, and the development that goes on with their bodies, it's kind of exciting. So he's one of those guys that we've watched grown up inside the family, and I'm excited for him and excited for his family. He's been doing some outstanding things.
What did you learn about Luke Benson through 5 weeks, and what does his speed do for you offensively?
Luke is a guy that if you tell him to do something, he does it exactly the way you tell him to do it. And anytime you get someone like that, they have a chance. And obviously, we're watching him. Physically, he's not exactly where we want him to be yet, but he has some attributes that you might be able to use in a football game that can help you win.
Do you see him as someone who could have a larger role down the stretch here?
He's caught some football. He's made some plays. He's a guy that we're not afraid to get the ball to see how well he can do.
Coach, can you talk about what your philosophy is when it comes to Tommy and him being kind of the quarterback that has experience on the roster and balancing protecting him versus, like you said, he's your starting quarterback you left out there. So how do you gauge that as the game goes on?
I'm not sure what question you're asking me.
Well, let's say the score gets out of hand in your favor or against your favor. When do you feel like it's time to kind of protect him and save him for the next game or the rest of the season and get someone else in there? Do you ever think about that?
I'm trying to, when we're out there and we're trying to win a football game, we're going to play our best players. When we feel the game is out of hand, all the players, all my stepsons are important. And you get them in and out of the game based off of that. What's the question?
I guess the perception that Tommy is the quarterback that has experience on the roster, and if he does get hurt for the season, then it's going to be very difficult for the team to succeed. So how do you balance? Do you feel that same way, or do you not?
I'm not sure what you're asking me.
Do you feel like your starting quarterback needs to be protected more than anybody?
I think all the players need to be protected. Okay.
Time for one more question. Matt?
Dino, the numbers tell us your team and NC State are very similar. I mean, do you see that when you look at them on tape, that these two teams are kind of at the same juncture at this point in the season?
I do. Yeah, I think you look at I think the home field advantage is going to be big this year, and we've got to find a way to try to make up that advantage. You look at where they are. Probably we're in a better situation, maybe with our quarterback situation than they are. But when you add up their defense, they've got some high-quality defensive players. They've got some running backs that can make some plays. They're playing at home. They're a hard team to beat at home. I think that this is a really pivotal swing game for both programs, and I think it's going to be a highly contested football game.
Thanks very much for your time, Coach.
Thank you.